Hey guys, Jeff here, and today I wanted to talk about and demonstrate how I made my original wallet picks, or at least a version of them. You've seen me talk about these on many different videos where we've got tensioners at one end, and at the other I've got a half diamond small hook and a rake of some sort. So let's talk about how I did this. My starting material, let's bring you over here. My starting material is the inserts from windshield wipers. Now, these actually come in several different sizes. I like this bigger one because if it's wider, you can get more shapes out of it. However, I ended up going the slightly smaller piece. Different brands, different windshield wiper sizes are going to have different ones. You can see this one's not quite as wide. That means any hook I do won't be quite as wide, but I wanted to be able to hold them together using a spring from a pen. This size windshield wiper blade fits in. This size windshield wiper does not. So I have kind of pre-started here. I broke it down into sizes that are easy enough to work with because, let's be real, this is trash that I am saving and turning into more EDC tools. So the first thing that I do with this is I want to bend to make the tensioner hook. The way that I do that is I just stick it in a vise here. And I grab my hammer, and my vise is not perfect. It's got a little bit of a gap there. But I just start hammering it over. And you notice that I can't get it perfectly 90 like that. So, we've got to slide it out just a little bit. Not that much. Sorry. And then I can get it the rest of the way. Now, you'll notice that this piece is really long, but so is this. This is just kind of a blank as far as how I start from it. From here, I decide the length that I want. Let's move this way. And I'm going to save your ears and not actually use the grinder, but using the corner of the grinder, just a little bit of grinding, and it's important to dip in water too because this is so small it'll get hot really quick, both for the metal and also for your sake. When I was doing this earlier, I actually wasn't thinking about it and burnt myself a little bit. But we can use this to kind of score it so we can break off at the size that we want. The grinder is also really great for shortening this up. You can see about the size that I want here. But I only like the grinder for the rough work like that. From there, I come back to the vise, and you might have noticed that I already did one here with the half diamond. So, come back to the vise, and I mostly just freehand these. So I stick it, so I've got just a little bit sticking out. So once I have just a little bit sticking out here, so that way it's not going to move too much on me, and I might even want to readjust that. But then I just start using some files. So I think for this one I might want to try to turn it into a hook. It is a little too far. So I usually start on the inside. Here we go. I got the bottom part is caught in there now, so it's not going to wiggle on me. And I'm still going to probably apply a little bit of tension like this. With a round file, that is not all the way to the end where I want it. So maybe I end up making this one shorter than the other one, and that's okay. But you can see, sorry if I put my finger back there, that goes faster than you'd think for just being hand tools. And this isn't even my best round file. But you can see how that can go, and I would come down a ways, switch over to a flat file to kind of give me a little bit more. Ooh, that's a horrible sound, and sorry to anybody that's wearing headphones. Well, botched that one up, didn't I? Yeah, springs back a little bit. There we go. But, so we can just use hand files to shape that back however we want. I would round the end as well. And eventually you can get whatever you want. Now, I'm not going to take the time to go through the entire set that I'm going to make right here. I will show you them when I'm finished. I'm going to talk about a step that can take them just a little bit further. But I'm going to go off camera, finish up the rest of these the way that I want, and I'll come back to you when ready to see how to finish these up and how they work. Alright, so you can see I've got these filed out now, and I've got my half diamond, I've got as much of a hook as I can get out of this width, and I've got kind of a triple peak. I wish I had planned it out a little bit better. It's definitely wider than I like, but it should do the job. Now, from filing these, it ends up, probably can't see it on there, but these are pretty rough. Like, it's catching on my fingers. What I do, and this one already feels nice and smooth because I've already gone through and done my sanding. Some of you have probably seen this trick for sanding picks in general. Works great for these because of how soft they are. I just have an old book, and I put in different grits of wet dry sandpaper. I keep this around just for the sake of sanding picks. And what you do is you start at the coarser side. Where's my coarser side? That's 1200, 1000, there's my 500. So we'll take the triple peak, which still needs sanded, and we just stick it inside there, hold the book closed, and work in and out. Go maybe 10 seconds or so. Doesn't take a whole lot. I do kind of rotate it a little. I do a little bit of rotation while I'm doing this to try to hit the sides. And it starts to feel a little bit nicer. After I feel I've done good with one grit, I'll just work my way through the other grits. Now, this is not a necessary step, but it sure feels a whole lot nicer. Really don't want to stop this in the middle and forget where I am. So this is my 1000, same thing. And holding down with the book is nice. That way you're not just using sandpaper and stabbing yourself when you accidentally pull out too far and then try to go back in. And I have definitely done that before I learned the book trick. It's already starting to look nicer. Sometimes you don't get the tops and bottoms quite well enough with this. So I do always keep a few little scraps that I can use for that, and the book gives me a nice surface for that as well. So that ends up with my picks. I will polish those later. You don't want to see me just sitting around and polishing. Instead, let's try some picking to see how these are working. So these are kind of like your Bogota picks that you get, where you have a tensioner on one end and a pick on the other. I personally had a set at one point. I didn't like how they came off at a 45. So this definitely works better for me to have the 90 degrees. So let's start with a little bitty ace, 19 millimeter. Now the one thing about this is you've got to choose carefully which one you're going to pick with. Let's start with the diamond, because of the fact that whatever you're tensioning with is what you're not going to pick with. Alright, there we go. We got that open. And let's just go ahead and move on. Got my master lock probably, what is that, a 141 or whatever. I'm going to start with the quick ones. We will use the triple peak with a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, I do want to remind you that what we made here is made out of, there we go, windshield wiper inserts. This is not the best metal. This is not going to hold up forever. I have small kids and we like to tell them about things that are sometimes toys, and these are definitely sometimes picks. If you use them, we're on the half diamond now, if you use them, you're probably going to end up at the very least bending them, if not breaking them. But we're making these out of trash, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot if we end up breaking them. All right, half diamond's not working there, but let's switch things around. Only real downside, let's use the hook now. Only real downside is the fact that there's no good way to have a, there we go, already got with the half diamond. There's no good way to do a topic keyway tensioner. I was a little bit carefuler. Maybe I could notch one of these a little bit so you do top of keyway. But there you go. That is how I make my little set. I think I said it in the earlier section, but just to be clear, I did not do the twist this time, partly because I did the twist before because I thought it was necessary. It's going to take a little getting used to, but I think I kind of like the handle coming out the side. But more specifically, I left out the twist because these three, it's all fit together. If I do it right. Here we go. Now we haven't messed it. All fit together in that spring, so now I've got a nice compact little set. This will go in my pockets. I have a little pocket organizer that actually has a pocket that's not being used. That is the perfect size. So that goes right in there, no extra weight for my EDC. So there you go. That is how I make my pocket picks, my wallet picks. Hope that helped you out. Love to hear if you make your own, if you have any extra advice. I will say, if I can find a bigger spring, maybe I'll use the bigger inserts that I showed earlier, because that would definitely give me a lot more possibilities as far as profiles and everything else. But anyways, that's what we got for today. Look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll talk to you all later.